Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Join with the Hare Krishna. Not coming, no? That was Hare Krishna. Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. Not coming, no? Hare Krishna, 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 Krishna Ram, Hare Krishna. Hello. Coming?
ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವತ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಒಂದು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಭಕ್ತರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದವರು ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಬರಬೇಕು. ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ.
Wi-Fi is not working. Already this one is this old bro हो गया 1.5 बार हो गया इसके old days हो गए will not function. ಸಿಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ please went ಭೂಲೋಕ ಗೋರ್ಲೋಕ Hare Krishna, we have power issues here, so please bear for not sharing the presentation. That is not visible only.
ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಯಾರಿಗಾರು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವತ ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇದ್ರೆ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಹೋಗೋದು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ಲೋರ್.
Wireless they connected.
जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रजन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिषद अष्टोत्तर शतश्री स्टीवन ग्रेस अभय चरण अरविंद भक्ति वेंद्र स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की इस्कॉन बीबीटी संस्था वचन श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिषद अष्टोत्तर शतश्री स्टीवन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर श्रील प्रभुपाद की आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम मधुरा धाम की मायापुर धाम नवदीप धाम की कुरुक्षेत्र क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई यमुना माई की तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की सामवेद भक्त वृंद की शिला प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की कलियुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की श्री नरसिम्हा चतुर्दशी महोत्सव की निताय गौर प्रेमानंद all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories Shri Guru and Gauranga all glories Shri Prabhupada ki jai Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bodhale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshtarane Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 8. Right, verse 18. 7, 8, 18. I'll first read the words and then we can recite. Satyam Vedatum Najabritya Bhashitam Vyaptim Cha Bhuteshu Akileshu Chatmanaha Adrishyat Ati Adbhuta Rupam Udvagan Stambe Sabayam Na Mrigam Na Manusham Satyam Vedatum Najabritya Bhashitam Vyaptim Cha Bhuteshvakileshu Chatmanaha Andrishyat Adbhuta Rupam Udvagan Stambe Sabayam Namrikam Namanusham Satyam Vedatum Nijabritya Bhashitam Vyaptim Cha Bhuteshvakileshu Chatmanaha Adrishyat Adbhuta Rupam Udvagan Stambe Sabayam Namrikam Namanusham Satyam Vedatum Nijabritya Bhashitam Vyaptim Cha Bhuteshvakileshu Chatmanaha Adrishyat Adbhuta Rupam Udvagan Stambe Sabayam Namrikam Namanusham Satyam Vedatum Nijabritya Bhashitam Vyaptim Cha Bhuteshu Akileshu Chatmanaha Stambe Sabayam Namrikam Namanusham Satyam Vedatum Nijabritya Bhashitam Bhuteshu Akileshu Chatmanaha Adrishyat Rupam Udvagan Tambe Sabayam Namrikam Namanusham Satyam Vedatum Nijabritya Bhashitam Vyaptim Cha Bhuteshu Akileshu Chatmanaha Adrishyat Adbhuta Rupam Udvagan Tambe Sabayam Namrikam Namanusham. Mataji. Satyam, true. Vidatum, to prove. Nijabritya Bhashitam, the words of his own servant, Prahlad Maharaja, who had said that his Lord is present everywhere. Vyaptim, the pervasion, cha, and bhuteshu, among the living entities and elements. Akhileshu, all, cha, also. Atmanaha, of himself. Adrishyata, was seen. Ati, very. Adbhuta, wonderful. Rupam, form. Udvagan, taking. Stambe, in the pillar. Sabayam, within the assembly. Na, not. Mrigam, an animal. Na, nor. Manusham, a human being. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. To prove that the statement of his servant, Prahlad Maharaja, was substantial. In other words, to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, exhibited a wonderful form never before seen. The form was neither that of a man nor that of a lion. Thus, the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall. Purport. When Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaja, where is your Lord? Is he present in this pillar? Prahlad Maharaja fearlessly replied, yes, my Lord is present everywhere. Therefore, to convince Hiranyakashipu that the statement of Prahlad Maharaja was unmistakably true, the Lord appeared from the pillar. The Lord appeared as half lion and half man, so that Hiranyakashipu could not understand whether the great giant was a lion or a human being. To substantiate Prahlada's statement, the Lord proved that his devotee, as declared in Bhagavad Gita, is never vanquished. Kaunteya pradijanehi name bhakta pranashyati. Prahlad Maharaja's demoniac father had repeatedly threatened to kill Prahlada, but Prahlada was confident that he would not be killed, since he was protected by the Supreme Lord. By appearing from the pillar, the Lord encouraged his devotee, saying in effect, don't worry, I am present here. By manifesting his form as Narasimha Deva, the Lord also preserved the truth of Lord Brahma's promise that Hiranyakashipu was not to be killed by any animal or any man. The Lord appeared in a form that could not be said to be fully a man or a lion. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadutam Parajana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pricharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha namo mahavadanyaya krishna prema pradayate krishnaya krishna chaitanya namane gavratishe namaha panchatattvatmakam krishnam bhakta rupa swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. First of all, I would like to offer obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas here. I'm not qualified to speak on these topics, but on the request of devotees, we are speaking for my own purification. Also to, to inspire the words of Srimad Bhagavatam in the devotees' hearts. So here, we just read this verse coming from the 7th canto, 8th chapter, 17th verse. So this is the appearance of the Lord coming from the pillar. Just the Lord appeared from the pillar. That's the verse describes. So what we will do is we will try to cover the background of why Lord appeared in the pillar the way it is. So we will start from the beginning of the first canto itself. We'll try to summarize. How much time we have, Prabhuji? 1 hour? 1 hour? Okay. We'll try to. It's a lot of things to cover, but we'll try to cover as much as we can. Then if you're running out of time, I will try to skip over, but we'll try to understand 7 key lessons from this episode of Srimad Bhagavatam. 7 key lessons for the practicing devotees. So the build up to the 7th canto is that in the 6th canto, Shukadeva Goswami mentions that the Lord killed the sons of Diti on the request of Indra and the demigods. So that is what Shukadeva Goswami mentions in the 6th canto, in the end of 6th canto. And then Parishit Maharaj was very curious. The Lord is, he's always like a impartial. Samasarveshu bhuteshu. Right? He is always equal to all living entities. So he is impartial. How come that Lord had taken the side of the demigods and killed the sons of Diti? That was the question posed by Parishit Maharaj to Shukadeva Goswami Maharaj. And then to that, right, Parishit Maharaj actually, Shukadeva Goswami actually appreciates that the question what you posted is a very wonderful question. In fact, this question is very glorious because this will actually glorify the Lord's impartiality. So he says the Lord is Sama, Priya and Shukrut. Right? He never takes side of anybody. But in this episode, in this pastime, he takes the side of Indra and kills the demons as if partial. Please remove this doubt. That's the question of Parishit Maharaj. So Shukadeva Goswami says this question is a great question because this question glorifies the Lord and his devotees and bhakti. It's a wonderful question. And then to answer this question, he remembers. Bhagavatam, if you hear, every question is answered either by the sages, by Suta Goswami to the sages of Naimisharanya, or by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj, it's always whenever a question is posted, the answers will be given based on previous authorities. Always by quoting the previous authorities, answers will be given. Because here Parikshit Maharaj asked the question, how come the Lord acted in this way? Lord is impartial. How am I supposed to understand? To answer that question, Shukadeva Goswami quotes the conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narada Muni. That's how he answers. And when he said that Lord is impartial, he's actually answering this question based on the authority of previous conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narada Muni. Right? So he says, people flourish or people behave according to the prominence of the mode in which they are situated. Predominantly, people who are in Sattva Guna, who are they? They are Devatas and the sages. And then people in Rajoguna, they are the Asuras. Then people in Tamoguna are Yakshas and Rakshasas. So this is what Shukadeva Goswami quotes. He mentions. And then he quotes this conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narada Muni in the Rajasuya sacrifice. So Yudhishthira Maharaj sees in the Rajasuya sacrifice, we all know the pastime where Shishupal, right, blasphemes Krishna. And then Krishna had given promise to Shishupal's mother that at any time he crosses 100, offenses or insults at that time, if he crosses 100, I will kill him. Until then, I will not kill him. That's the word he had given to Shishupal's mother. Because Shishupal, when he took birth, from the beginning, only he was cursing Krishna. So because she was worried, mother was worried, and then she takes this boon from Krishna. And in this Rajasuya Yajna, Shishupal loses the country. He always used to keep track. He knew that if he crosses 100, he will get killed. Whenever he blasphemes Krishna, he will always keep track. The demons are very intelligent, they always keep track of things. But at this time in the Rajasuya Yajna, right, when Bhishma Pitamaka said that Krishna needs to be glorified, he could not tolerate, he couldn't take it. He lost control. When he lost control, he lost the count. And Krishna shows his mercy through Sudarshan Chakra. He kills Shishupal. After killing Shishupal, what is expected? It is expected that Shishupal will, because of all the blasphemy he had done, he is going to suffer somewhere in hell. In the hellish region, he should be suffering for several lifetimes. That is what expected. But to the surprise, what happened? In front of everybody, Shishupal's Atma went and merged in the body of Krishna. That surprised Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Yudhishthira Maharaj poses the question, how come the Lord is always impartial? If somebody does something bad, somebody commits some offense to any other living entity or to anybody, they have to suffer. That's the laws of the nature. So Lord is always impartial in discharging the laws of nature as Paramatma and the heart. In this case, he blasphemed. He should be going to hell. Because several times in the past, several people who had committed offenses to others, they went to hell only. In this case, Shishupal, instead of going to hell, is entering into the body of the Lord. It looks like the Lord is partial. Here the situation is different, no? There, sons of Diti was killed. It looks like partial because he took the side of Devatas. Here, he actually gave liberation to Shishupal. Because normally people who commit offense, they go to hell to suffer. Whoever disturbs other living entity, they go to hell only to suffer. In this case, he committed so much offense, Shishupal, he should be going to hell. But instead of that, he is getting liberation. How am I supposed to understand? Looks like Lord is partial. So to that, Narada Muni answers. Right? In the past, actually, Yudhishthira Maharaj also says, Vena was sent to hell for blaspheming the Lord. As quoted, right? Why not Shishupal? Right? Shishupal and Dandavakara, they were blasphemous and they are envious of Krishna. Whoever blasphemes the Lord, whoever is envious of the Lord and devotee, what do they get? Leprosy. But they did not get. They go to hell. They did not get. But they merge in the body of Krishna. How am I supposed to understand? My intelligence is disturbed. Candle flame by blowing wind, right? How my intelligence is disturbed? When the candle is set in a open wind, right? It flickers and then goes off. Like that, my intelligence is disturbed. Please explain this. This is the question posted by Yudhishthira Maharaj to Narada Muni. So here is the first lesson. The first lesson from this episode is that the questions are life's questions always requires answers from a guru. The world is bewildering. Prabhupada quotes in Bhagavad Gita, right? The material world is full of perplexities. Right? If you want to overcome the perplexity of this world, there is only one way. Taking shelter of the lotus feet of a Shri Guru. Here, Parishit Maharaj had the question. He poses the question to Sukadeva Goswami. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj has the question. He poses the question to Narada Muni. Because these things, right? The world is actually anyway its perplexity. Lord's pastimes is more inconceivable. The world is full of perplexities. The only way to overcome this material world is by taking shelter of Shri Guru. And also that is the way to understand the pastimes of the Lord. By hearing from a bona fide authority. So dualities do not affect the Lord. Right? Ignorance causes experience of dualities. Right? Only conditioned souls, right? They experience duality, not the Lord. Because the Lord is not experienced in duality, there can be no friend or enemy. Hence, Lord has to be impartial. That is what the answer Narada Muni gives. The bodily conception of life is only for the conditioned living entities, not for the Lord. The Lord has no material body, hence no dualities. Right? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, in this 25th verse and 26th verse, the linkage, he tells, what is wrong with criticizing the Lord? Since he is not affected. Because Narada Muni said, the Lord is beyond duality, is transcendental. Right? If somebody is transcendental, if somebody blasphemous, you should not be affected. You just mentioned that Lord is transcendental. He should not be affected. Huh? Then why did he do it? If he is not affected, then why did he kill? Shishupal? Right? Answer, right, is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains. The reason the Lord kills is out of mercy, compassion. If the Lord doesn't stop him and kill him, he will entangle himself further in karma. Out of compassion for the Lord, or compassion for the living entity, the Lord stops him. He cannot be stopped because he was uncontrollable. The only way to stop him is liberate. So that's the answer. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes in his purport. So after quoting this, Narada Muni says, right, this verse, Tasmat vairenu bandena, nirvairena bayanava, snegat kamenava yunjat, Kadanchin nekshate pratak. He says, therefore, even though here Shishupal was envious, out of envy he was giving blasphemy, right? Narada Muni is saying it's all right. Even though he is envious, he is blaspheming, he is at least remembering Krishna. That's why he is saying, therefore, by enmity or by devotion or fear or by affection or by lust, one should concentrate on Lord. Right? One should always concentrate on the Lord. Either this way or that way, the focus should be always on the Lord. The demons, like Shishupal, out of envious, comes out of fear, right? And then he puts in the same category. Who? The devotees. Who are the devotees? The gopis of Vrindavan. Gopis of Vrindavan, they are attracted to the Lord out of lust, right? And then the devotees of Vrindavan, they are attracted to Krishna by affection. The devotees of Dwaraka, they are attracted to Krishna by the relationship to him, right? By affection. He puts in the same category. Is it? Is it fair? Is it? How can we understand this? The reason he is not putting in the same category, the idea is to tell, even if the blasphemous demons, just for remembering Krishna, even out of envy, if they get liberation, what to speak of out of affection and love when the devotees remember Krishna? How glorious it will be. To contrast that, he actually puts them in the same category. I'll skip some of the slides because we're running out of time, So here, lust without fear, the devotees of Dwaraka, right? The ladies of Dwaraka, they're attracted to Krishna out of lust without fear, right? And then pure devotees, humility, right? So the idea is the demons, they are doing out of pride, damba, and pratishta. Now, whereas the devotees, they are all doing out of humility. The devotee feels himself deficient in absorption. This is why Narada Muni is telling. Narada Muni is telling that even the demons, they are able to remember Krishna. See, my condition is so fallen that I am not able to remember Krishna. This is the humility of Narada Muni. One is, he put them in the same category, the devotees of Vrindavan and other devotees, with the demons. That is to contrast, to glorify the devotees and their bhakti towards Krishna. And then reason why he is telling here is, like this is, even the demons have attraction to Krishna, but my heart is so hard-hearted, I don't have any attraction for Krishna. Why? He's saying like this, out of humility. So this should be the attitude of a practicing devotee. So Kaviraj Goswami's humility from Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? He says, I am lower than Jagaya and Madai. Actually, I am lower than a worm in the stool. Kaviraj Goswami. Is he like exaggerating? Is he not being truthful in writing Chaitanya Charitamrita like that, putting these words? You all know, Kaviraj Goswami is empowered to write Chaitanya Charitamrita. Then why is he writing like this? Because that is the attitude. The attitude is of humility. Humility. Then Srimati Radharani is humility. Now she is the best servant of Krishna. Right? She is best in everything. There is no one can please Krishna than Radharani. Right? But Radharani's mood is that other devotees are better in serving Krishna. Other gopis can serve better Krishna. She in fact recommends to Krishna, please accept this. This devotee made this garland for you. This is much better than the good garland I make. So, because out of humility, Radharani always recommends, glorifies other devotees' devotional service. The essential point from this is that full absorption in thought of Krishna is very much required. If the demons can remember fully absorbed in remembering Krishna like Shishupal and Kamsa, why not the devotees? The devotees should be fully absorbed in the thought of Krishna. Right? The gopis' absorption, right? From the 10th canto, we can understand Mother Yashoda's absorption in serving Krishna, right? The absorption should be like, right? Like a the grass worm, right? Always by meditating on a bumblebee, it transforms itself into a bumblebee. Like that, a devotee should be always absorbed in the thoughts of Lord Shri Krishna. Liberation by thinking of Krishna in any way is possible, right? Kamat, Dveshat, Bhayat, Snehat, Yata Bhaktiyeshwara Manaha, Aveshitat Agam Hitva, Bhagastat Gatim Gataha. By lust, hatred, fear and affection or devotion, thinking of Krishna in mind with absorption and giving up sin, right? Many have attained liberation. By remembering Krishna, even if you are a demon, right? By remembering Krishna, Krishna is so powerful, all the sins accumulated by the demons are eradicated. And Krishna is so powerful that there is no amount of sin the demons accumulated, can stop them getting liberated. Now, what to speak of when devotees out of love and affection, out of humility, when they chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. They can be guaranteed that they'll be delivered by the Lord's mercy. Lord's mercy. The gopis by lust to Krishna, they are attracted. Kamsa by fear, Shishubala, etc. by envy, and Yadus by family affection, and then Pandavas, by affection. And then Narada Muni says, I got attracted to the Lord by the sadhana bhakti. In my past life, we know the past times, right? Before, Narada Muni got attracted to the lotus feet of the Lord by hearing from the sages, Bhakti Vedanta sages, right? By serving them, he got attracted to the lotus feet of the Lord. Then similarly, for practicing devotees, right? By hearing from bona fide authorities, by hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, the demons might do it in an unfavorable way. That is why Rupa Goswami defines, first of all, bhakti in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Right? The definition of Uttama Bhakti is Anya Abhilashata Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. Right? Anukulyena Krishnanu Siranam Bhakti Uttama. Anukula. Without Anukula, right? Remembrance of Bhakti. Remembrance of Krishna is not Bhakti. The demons, what they did, it is not Bhakti. They remembered and they got liberated. Right? But that's just not Bhakti. That type of remembrance is not considered to be Bhakti. Bhakti means it should be done in a favorable way in order to please Krishna. Yashoda Mai, right? During the pastime of Damodar Leela, right? When she was feeding Krishna, then she remembers the milk put on the stove, right? The milk is coming out, about to come out. She remembers, she puts Krishna and then goes to attend the milk. What happened? Krishna got displeased. Krishna became angry. Krishna started crying. Krishna started kicking his legs. Krishna started breaking everything. He became angry. Yashoda Mai displeased Krishna. Now, according to Rupa Goswami's definition of bhakti, right? The activities should be actively cultivated in order to please Krishna here Yashodamai displeased Krishna. Is Yashodamai activity is bhakti or not? Huh? Bhakti, then it's not pleasing to Krishna. We may or may not be able to please Krishna, but the intention should be to please Krishna. Yashodamai put down Krishna to go and attend the milk with the intention to serve Krishna, to please Krishna, because that milk should be used in Krishna's service. That milk should be attended. That is more important. That is higher priority. That's why she puts Krishna. Even though putting the process of putting down Krishna is displeasing at that moment, but the intention in which she put down Krishna is not to displease Krishna, actually to please Krishna. So that is why bhakti intention is more important than the activity. Activity is important. It's not that activity is not important. More than that activity, the intention in which the activity is performed is more important. So that is why, for practicing devotees, when we are practicing devotional service by the sadhana bhakti, it should be cultivated in a favorable way. Anukulyena Krishnanu Siranam Bhakti Rottama. So Brajavasis, right? And Vrishnish, they were all attracted to Krishna as the relatives. Thinking of Krishna, any of the 5 ways gives salvation. But Vena did not think of Krishna in any of the 5 ways. Whereas the gopis, the Kamsa, Shishupala, Vrishni, and Narada, right? They all did that way and they attained love for Krishna or attained salvation. Shishupala and Tandavakara were associates of Vishnu. Further, actually, Narada Muni explains that Shishupala and Tandavakara, they are actually not ordinary. Don't take this example as a standard example. Why this example is not applicable to all? Because these are not ordinary people. These are not ordinary people. Shishupala and Dandavakara, they were actually the doorkeepers of Lord Vishnu, Jaya and Vijaya. That immediately, Yudhishthira Maharaj gets, surprised. How come doorkeepers of Vaikuntha planet, Jaya and Vijaya, they can come to the material world? How come they can take up material body? Because Narada Muni mentioned, because of a curse, they had gone down to the material body, material world, and they had taken this material body. Then Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking, how come? Who can curse Vaikuntha Vasis? How is it possible? Vaikuntha Vasis cannot fall down. They cannot take material body. How is it possible? He is surprised. As I said, the first lesson from this pastimes is life's questions always requires guidance from a bona fide spiritual master, Shri Guru. Because the world is full of practicalities. Because here, again, Yudhishthira Maharaj is, surprised and asking the question, who can curse to Vishnu's bhaktas? How come they fell into the material world? It is unbelievable. Vaikuntha Vasis have spiritual bodies. How they descended in these material bodies? That is the question. Narada Muni explains about Jaya and Vijaya, right? About the 4 Kumaras, how by wandering they went to Vaikuntha. When they tried to enter Vaikuntha, the doorkeeper stopped them, and then they got offended, and they got cursed by the 4 Kumaras. So here, another thing, very important things to notice, even though Jaya and Vijaya is doing excellent service by safeguarding the doors of Vaikuntha, so that no unqualified person will be entered. So we might be very much absorbed in a service, but in the process, we should be very careful not to offend Vaishnavas. Even though they were doing their service diligently, they were neglectful in offending the Kumaras. Hence, the consequence is curse and coming into the material world. So even though we might be engaged in devotional service, for a practicing devotee, the important lesson is that we should be making sure that in the process of serving, you are not, walking over some other devotees We are not trampling somebody else. We are not offending devotees. So always we should be very careful in the process of devotional service as well. The Kumaras cursed them to be born as asuras. After 3 births, they will come back to Vaikunthas. That's the benediction given by the Lord. And then they took birth. Jaya Vijaya took birth as sons of Diti. Right? Narasimha and Varagadev killed the first birth. Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they got killed by Narasimhadev and Varaga. And later, right, the same Jaya and Vijaya took birth as Ravana and Kumbhakarna, and they got killed by Lord Ram. And then later they took birth as Shishupal and Dandavakara, and then they got killed by Krishna himself, and they got liberated. So this is what Narada Muni quotes. Now, in this process, when he is describing, right, Hiranyakashipu got killed by Narasimha because he was envious, or he was inimical towards his son Prahlad. So then immediately Yudhishthira Maharaj asked the question, there is a affection between son and father is a loving one. We never hear always this father is always attached to the son. We never hear of father becoming inimical towards his own son. How is this? What is the story? Yudhishthira Maharaj asked this question. Now, when Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking all these questions, at the time of Rajasuya Yajna, at the conclusion of Rajasuya Yajna, what is supposed to happen? Yudhishthira Maharaj is supposed to be declared as emperor of the whole world. Right? Normally, any other persons in that situation, if I am part of a Rajasuya Yajna, I will be eager for the Yajna to be over and come to the conclusion where I will be declared as the emperor of the world. But Yudhishthira Maharaj is not interested in that. He is not interested in completing the Yajna. He is very curious about the Lord's activities. In fact, he is taking a risk. He is taking a risk by asking all these questions to Narada Muni. How come by asking these questions he is taking risk? You might ask. Because whenever you pose a question to a spiritual personality, you can no guarantee in that when that will end, when that answer will end. Whenever you pose a question to a spiritual personality, there is no guarantee that when the answers to that question will end. So here, Rajasuya Yajna is about to come to conclusion. Yudhishthira Maharaj is not interested in his own position. He is interested, attracted towards the pastimes of the Lord. He is taking a risk in posing this question to Narada Muni. All these questions. Because right, this whole 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is spoken by who? Yudhishthira Maharaj, Narada Muni to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So that much long, it's going to be, Rajasuya Yajna is going to be postponed. Yudhishthira Maharaj is willing to take that risk. Why? Because he is very curious. He was inquisitive to know about the Lord's pastimes. Now that's why he's asking this question. Why the enmity between Hiranyakashipu and Prahlada? To that question, now Narada Muni elaborates Hiranyakashipu. Who is Hiranyakashipu? What are his activities? Hiranyakashipu, he becomes very angry after his brother Hiranyaksha's death. Hiranyaksha got killed by Varagadev. When he heard this, he became very, very angry. Right? And then he, by biting his lips, gazing at the sky with anger, with angry eyes, and making whole sky smoky, right? With terrible teeth, fierce glances, and frowning eyebrows, spoke to the demons as follows. What did he say? He says, he gives the order to the demons, his servants, right? Right? He addresses them with various names, right? This impartial Vishnu had sided with the demigods and killed my brother. Right? Influenced by Maya, the Supreme Personality gave up his impartiality, like restless child taking sides. Right? I will kill Vishnu, right, to please my brother, to avenge my brother's death. Right? And then all this, when I kill Vishnu, all these demigods will like wither, right, like dry leaves in a tree. When the root of a tree is cut, eventually the whole tree will die. All the leaves, figs, flowers, everything is going to fall off, dry up. Similarly, when I kill Vishnu, the root, all the demigods are going to be finished. And then he gives further orders. Right? What is this order? This is very important. He gives very three specific order. This demoniac tendency, right? They will always they're against Brahmanas, and then they're always against the scriptures, and then they are always interested in killing the cows. If any of this one is allowed, religiosity will prosper there. Wherever these three things are there, Brahmanas, the scriptures, and the cows, religiosity will prosper. Hence, the demons don't want religiosity to prosper, right? Hence, they are always interested in killing, or they're against Brahmanas, interested in killing the cows, and then they're against the scriptures. They always ridicule the scriptures. So that's the order he gives. So these are the various activities of the demons. They're always, interested in causing pain to others and pleasure to themselves. This is what the demoniac mindset is, right? Demons means, it is mentioned, Asura, right? Means Asur Ramenti iti Asuraha. That means he is interested in his own breathing. He is interested in his own protecting his own life. He is interested in making arrangements for his own life, even at the cost of others. This is what Asura means. Asura means one who is interested in his own breathing of his own life, even at the cost of taking breathing of others away. That's the definition of Asura. Right? So these Asuras, their main thing is, right, the prominent thing they operate by is false ego. They think themselves as the center of the whole universe. Right? This Hiranyakashipu, because of this thing, right, mindset, he angrily orders his servants, right, to go and kill Brahmanas, and then so that the scriptures cannot be recited, and then kill the cows, right? This religiosity, right, can prosper when these three things are there. Now, one time, Srila Prabhupada was talking to one South Indian. The South Indian happened to be a scholar, and the South Indian scholar, Prabhupada asked, "What do you do?" You said you were a researcher, scholar. What do you do? He said, "I am an archaeologist. I'm an anthropologist." And Prabhupada, anthropologist. So what do you do? And then he said, I research, right? Primitive people, ancient primitive people. And then that scholar asked Prabhupada, he saw Prabhupada sannyasi in saffron, surrounded by all his Western disciples. And then he was curious to know, who are you? Prabhupada said, I am A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. What do you do? I said, Prabhupada said, I study advanced people. Right? Advanced people like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, right? Ambarish Maharaj, the great Rajarishis. So generally, these materialistic people, demons, they are not interested in scriptures, in studying scriptures. They are interested in doing all this research, right? Studying the primitive people, studying all the things which never they can come to any conclusion. right? They will be always speculating. Maybe it is like that. Maybe it is like that. And then maybe present scriptures. No, these are all like, not acceptable, right? So cows, what is the use of cows? Cows, once we take the milk, cows become, useless. It should be killed. If everybody keeps the cow, there's so much cow will be on the planet, and then all these cows from cow dung, carbon dioxide will be emitted, and then greenhouse effects will come, and we should kill the cows. Some of these people give this kind of logic also, to kill the cows. This is how, the karmis in a demoniac asuric mentality, because to enjoy themselves, to keep their life breath, they are willing to take away the life breath of others. They will go to any extent. They will justify. This is the activities of the demon. The demon's mindset is I, me, and mine. Right? That is the mindset in which they operate. And then next, Hiranyakashipu, after giving all these orders, right, he goes and consoles all his relatives, his mother and the wives of his brother. He is actually consoling. I'm not going to get into the details because this is very elaborate. Some 60, almost 50 verses. If anybody reads this verse out of context, they will be confused. Hey, these words are spoken by Hiranyakashipu or these are spoken by Krishna? Because all the verses, whatever he gives, the way he consoles the relatives is by quoting philosophy. By quoting philosophy. How? First philosophy he quotes is that soul is eternal, body is temporary. Huh? This is what Krishna quotes in Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Natvevagam jatanasam natvam nimechanati paga. Right? And then he says, right? Body is temporary. Like the relatives are people, the relationship in this world is like when people come in a restaurant. People come in an eating place. What do? People go to the eating place, different kinds of people come together, sit together, and they all be eating, sitting together and eating. After eating, finishing eating, they go on. Like that, only the relationship in this world are. It's temporary. Even though somebody might be thinking that people who all eat together, people who are, friends and, family, they only sit together and eat. But in the restaurant, it doesn't have to be. Right? Even strangers come and sit together and eat. After finishing eating, they go away. Like that, only the relationship in this world is. The body, the soul takes different body, comes in different relationship. Like how people, travelers come into a restaurant and eat and go. Like that. He gives all these philosophical things. This restaurant example he quotes. All the philosophy things he gives. Right? He talks about transmigration of the soul. If somebody hears all these verses, somebody reads these verses without knowing who is speaking this verse, they will think that this is spoken by an elevated personality. It's spoken by a philosopher. Maybe it's spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. But these verses are spoken by who? Hiranyakashipu. Why? To console his family members. But the intention of giving all this knowledge is to protect his own interest. Right? Knowledge, philosophy without character is useless. Even though he's speaking all these great philosophies, right? The intention in which he's doing is not to please the Lord, is not to uplift others so that they can serve Krishna. The intention in which he's speaking all these words to pacify his relatives is to so that they can all come and serve me. Because when I see them, crying and not happy, that displeases me. To stop that displeasure, he gives philosophy. Now, this is the difference between a demon speaking philosophy and a devotee speaking philosophy. So that hence, philosophy without character is useless. So there is another pastime. The pastime of Krishna. going and kidnapping Rukmini, right? In that pastime, also connected to again Shishupal. Shishupal is supposed to, Rukmini is supposed to get married to who? Shishupal only. And then Krishna goes, kidnaps Rukmini, and then Balaram comes with the army, and everybody stopped. And nobody can do anything about it. Krishna kidnaps Rukmini. By seeing that, what happens? Shishupal starts crying. He gets dejected. I was supposed to get married to her. This Krishna comes and kidnaps, and because I could not go and chase and get Rukmini back, because Balaram came with the army to stop. He starts crying. At that time, who comes and consoles him? Jarasandha. Jarasandha comes in. Hey, don't worry. Don't get dejected. You got defeated only once by Krishna, and you are getting depressed. I got defeated by Krishna 17 times. Still, I am not depressed. Don't give up hope. So, Jarasandha, in the modern world, he could be a really good motivational speaker. Huh? He talks about the effect of time, how time factor overcomes everything. Don't worry. Positive thinking, positive mindset. So he also speaks philosophy. Jarasandha also speaks philosophy in that pastime. But all this philosophy is without any character. Philosophy without characters is useless. And the purpose of knowledge should be to transform. Knowledge is not just information. Purpose of spiritual knowledge should to transform the heart, not just to stay as an information. Hence, when we read scriptures, right, we might have the tendency to hear for information. Oh, what new pastime is coming? What new joke is coming out of this lecture? Right? What I can remember from this lecture, I can go and live another lecture somewhere. It is not for information. Studying of scriptures and spiritual knowledge is not for information. It should be done with an attitude for transforming the heart so that we can serve Krishna. And here Hiranyakashipu is using the intelligence in the service of false ego. So that is the next. All the stories I'm going to skip because he's giving not only this, simply he's not just giving this story of the philosophy of eternity of the soul. He also gives many stories also inside. In that 50 verses, right? He gives the story also. I'll skip all those. And then Hiranyakashipu has plans to become immortal, right? Now Hiranyakashipu decided that I have to kill this Vishnu. In order to kill this Vishnu, right? Last time my brother, even though he's invincibly, got killed by Varaha. This Vishnu came in the form of a boar. So hence, we can never predict this Vishnu. He might take any form and any way to come and kill me. So before I kill Vishnu, I should become very strong. I should become invincible. Hence, with that mindset, he wanted to go to the forest to perform austerity. And he tells all his family members that he wanted to go and perform austerity. At that time, all kind of bad omen comes. This is from Narasimha Purana. This particular thing is not coming from Bhagavatam, but I'm quoting. When he wants to go to the forest to perform austerity, at that time, all kind of bad omens, earthquakes and other things happens. And then all his relatives tell, because you said you are going to go perform tapasya. And then these are all bad omens, you should not do it. But he does not listen to them. He still goes to the forest. And then when he goes to the forest and starts performing tapasya, who is worried? Brahmaji. Brahmaji, no. that this guy is going to cause so much of havoc, so much of disturbance. He's worried. At that time, Narada Muni appears. Narada Muni tells, Father, why are you worried? You got appeared directly from the lotus navel of Krishna, Hiranyagarbha. You should not be worried about anything. What is there to worry for you? And then, Brahmaji says this, demon Hiranyakashipu is going to perform tapasya and is going to cause so much of disturbance to all the other living entity. I'm worried about that. Father, do not worry. I will take care of the situation. Immediately, both Narada Muni and Hiranyakashipu both transform themselves into as a bird, Kalavinga bird. And they go and sit on a tree next to the place where Hiranyakashipu is performing tapasya. And then Narada Muni starts chanting all the different names of the Lord. And then he starts chanting, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This mantra he starts chanting 3 times. When he starts chanting this 3 times, this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, this Hiranyakashipu gets disturbed. Who is this coming and chanting this and disturbing my tapasya? And then he saws that the bird is chanting. And then immediately he takes his bow and arrow, try to kill the bird, and the birds flew away. And then immediately Hiranyakashipu starts thinking, this is not auspicious. I'm trying to come and perform this tapasya. These birds are coming and singing this Vasudeva's name. And this is not a good sign. Maybe this is not the right time to perform tapasya. He goes back to the palace. When he goes back to the palace, his wife Kayadu is like surprised. My lord, you told that you're going to go for forest for perform tapasya for a long time, 100 years. You said you're going to perform tapasya. You just came back immediately. Why? And then you tell me what happened. And then he says, oh, I was performing tapasya. At the time, these 2 birds came and one bird started chanting names of Vishnu and then started chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This conversation happens when Hiranyakashipu is having intercourse with his wife. At the time of during that intercourse, he chants this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. At the time, the child conceived is Prahlad Maharaj. So this is how Prahlad Maharaj takes birth in the womb of Kayadu. And this is coming from Narasimha Purana. Because that question comes, how come in a Prahlad Maharaj is a great devotee. How come a devotee takes birth in the family of an Asura? Right? So in that past time, this is given. So this Hiranyakashipu goes to the forest 2nd time again to perform austerity. And then he performs this intense tapasya. We all know the story. And then, the whole world is trembling. And then to stop the situation, Brahma comes. Brahma comes and takes water from his kamandalu and then pours on the body of Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu's body is all eaten by the ants. And then he is performing this intense tapasya. Stop your penance. What do you want? And then, what do you want? To that, what does Hiranyakashipu says? Hiranyakashipu becomes humility personified. Oh Lord, I don't want anything. You are such a great person. You are such a great person. You are Varadottama. You are giver of best boons. He starts glorifying Brahma like anything. And I don't need anything. But by the way, if you want to give something, because you are considered to be a Varadottama, if you want to give something, give me immortality. No, this is how in a demon's mindset, demons also will act humble for their protect their own self-interest because they have some scheme in their mind. To fulfill that scheme, they will act humbly. Right? That is what actually, if you hear that the way he behaves to Brahmaji, he has all the saintly qualities. His humility personified. His humility personified. That's what you will feel. But that humility is not actually real humility. It's a false humility. The intention is to get something. This is the mindset of a demoniac person. He might show humility with the intention to get something out of the situation. And that's what actually Hiranyakashipu does here. Right? And then then the demigods request Brahma to stop the disturbance caused by the penance of Hiranyakashipu, and then he goes give this boon, and then he offers actually full Dandavat Pranam to Brahmaji, right? And then he glorifies Brahma like anything, and then he gets the boon. He asks for immortality. Asking for immortality is not an abnormal thing. Does anybody wants to die? Nobody wants to die, because that is the nature of the soul. The eternity of the soul, its nature is to be eternal. The nature of the soul is to be eternal. Trying to be immortal is not an abnormal thing. It's not a wrong thing. What is wrong here? Trying to be immortal in this own body. That is the Hiranyakashipu mentality. Devotees also want to be eternal, because we want to be situated in our Swarupa. Devotees practicing devotional service. Why we are practicing devotional service? We want to attain our, through this Swadharma, through the prescribed duties, when we discharge devotional service, through this Swadharma, we want to attain Swarupa Dharma. That is the whole teachings of Bhagavad Gita. Whole Bhagavad Gita is how to attain Swarupa Dharma through Swadharma. Right? Devotees are also trying to reach Swarupa Dharma, eternal position, so that we can eternally serve the Lord. But Hiranyakashipu is also trying to attain immortality, eternity. The idea is correct, but the means in which he want to attain is wrong, because he want to become immortal in this current body itself. That is the mistake Hiranyakashipu wants. And Brahmaji says, no, it is not possible. Then he gives with this clever scheme. We all know the story, how this clever scheme, right? Because you know that last time Vishnu came as a boar. Last time he becomes very clever. He says, he should not be neither an animal nor a man. It should not be by any created beings of you. Any beings created by you. Neither man nor animal or anybody. Neither in the sky or nor on the earth. Neither in the daytime nor in the nighttime. Right? Like that. Neither by any weapons. Like that he puts all kind of conditions. Right? And then Brahmaji says, Tadastu. And then inside, right, Hiranyakashipu started becoming, I trapped you. You said you can't give immortality. Now you said Tadastu, you had given me immortality. Nobody can kill me now. Right? That is the mindset of a demoniac person when they attain success, right? Through this dubious schemes, they think that they are going to be like that forever. They are going, I had with this victory, using this victory, I am going to stay there forever. I'm going to be in the top of the world forever. They do not understand there is always higher intelligence. Right? There is always higher intelligence. Even the expert rock climber can also get slipped. Even though he was expertly putting all these conditions to, Brahma, he does not think that the Supreme Lord is the intelligence of the intelligent. Right? As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the intelligence of the intelligent. So Krishna's intelligence is much, much more superior. One time when Prabhupada was there in Vrindavan, two big Vedic scholars, they came to see Prabhupada, and then they were telling how the absolute truth is impersonal and how absolute truth is not very easy to understand. Like that, they are giving all this kind of, logic. And then Prabhupada at the time saw, and there was one Gurukula boy was playing. And then Prabhupada called that Gurukula boy. And he called, Prabhupada also took one Sandesh. One Sandesh he took. He kept the Sandesh in his hand. And then Prabhupada asked, who is God? And then that boy was looking at the Sandesh in the hand. Who is coming between me and the Sandesh? Immediately he realized, if I give a right answer, I'll get Sandesh. He says, Krishna. Then Prabhupada immediately asked the next question, who is Krishna? And that boy says, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Prabhupada looks at the two scholars. See, even a small child can understand the supreme absolute truth. It's not that difficult. Then immediately the scholars, Swamiji, the child might say about all this like this, but he does not know why Krishna is God, how Krishna is God. And then Prabhupada looked at them, even Krishna doesn't know himself why he is God. Because by the time Krishna realizes his glories already improved, increased. Krishna's glories is ever increasing. Even Krishna himself does not know how glorious he is here. Even Krishna himself doesn't know why he is God. So what to speak? Like that Prabhupada said, this knowledge, right? These people, the philosophers, they think that by cleverly, they can understand everything. By cleverly, they can defeat material nature. By cleverly, by their own schemes, they can overcome nature, they can subdue the nature, they can enjoy the nature. The mindset of all the people, demoniac people in this world is to enjoy Lord's property. That is their whole scheme. But they do not know all their clever schemes will be defeated. The Lord's intelligence is far more superior than any of the intelligence of this world put together combined. It can't be even compared. So that we will know, right? Hiranyakashipu, that even though he had devised all the schemes so that he can become immortal, and he goes later and then he terrorized the whole universe. We know, right? All the pastimes of this, how all the demigods, 33 crore demigods, they all got so scared, and some of them started becoming personal servant, washing the vessels, right? Washing the clothes, and becoming, like a temperature controller, AC, operating the AC for the house in the house. Like when Indra, Chandra, Vayu, Varuna, all of them, when Hiranyakashipu, even when he raises his eyebrow, immediately all the demigods will come in line. Now, immediately the temperature may be 1 degree high. We have to reduce the temperature. Like that, all the demigods, they had got so scared, they all become servant of Hiranyakashipu. He was terrorizing the whole universe. Hiranyakashipu, what he was doing out of this atrocity, what is the laws of nature? Somebody does pious, they go to where? Swargaloka. Somebody does sin, where do they go? Hellish planets. Hiranyakashipu changed the rules. Whoever does impious activity, sinful activity, they go to Swargaloka. And whoever does pious activity, they go to hell. I'm telling you, he did all these things. Hiranyakashipu thought he's so invincible, he changed even the laws of nature. All the demigods were controlling. They all got terrorized. So this Hiranyakashipu, when he was causing so much of misery for all these demigods, all the demigods go to Vishnu, Krishna, right? Demigods approach Vishnu and then they tell their miserable condition. Oh Lord, this demon Hiranyakashipu is terrorizing the entire universe, and he is not allowing us to discharge all our duties. In fact, he is reversing the laws of nature. People who are pious, they are going to hellish region. People who are doing sinful, they are going to heavenly planets. All this kind of atrocity is doing, right? What should we do? At that time, Lord says, right? The Lord says that I will take care of this demon, Hiranyakashipu, when he offends his son Prahlad. Before saying that, he tells about the qualities of Prahlad Maharaj. This was in the verses 30 to 43. The qualities of Prahlad Maharaj is described by Lord Vishnu himself. How glorious Lord Prahlad Maharaj is. After saying that such a great personality, Prahlad Maharaj, will be offended by Hiranyakashipu, at that time I will appear and take care of the situation. So Lord, even though demigods went there to go and appease to the Lord to come and relieve their suffering immediately, Lord is not obligated. When we put prayers to the Lord, right? Lord is not obligated to respond immediately because he is Swarat, he is independent. He doesn't have to give reciprocate immediately because he is supremely independent. Even though the demigods wants immediately, remedy from the suffering, the Lord says, no, this is not appropriate time. At appropriate time, later when Hiranyakashipu, offends Prahlad Maharaj, at that time I'll appear. From that we can understand the Lord is not controlled by anybody. The demigods only can give request. Lord is not obligated to oblige immediately. Right? And then Yudhishthira Maharaj further questions, right? The qualities of Prahlad Maharaj, understanding all this, such a glorious Prahlad Maharaj. You saying Prahlad Maharaj doesn't have no enemy. That's what Vishnu says. The Lord says that Prahlad Maharaj has no enemy in the entire creation. Such a personality, how come his father become offensive? Huh? Then further, Narada Muni tells about Prahlad Maharaj, like any parents, normally parents want their children to go to school and get educated. Like that, Prahlad Maharaj also was sent to the school of Sanda and Amarka. Don't think that Sanda and Amarka are like some ordinary people. Huh? We understand Hiranyakashipu, who he is. All the 33 crore demigods become servant of Hiranyakashipu. That means how intelligent, how powerful he should be. If such a person chooses teachers for his son, do you think they'll be ordinary? They are not ordinary. These are expert, clever teachers, Sanda and Amarka. To the Sanda and Amarka, he sends Prahlad Maharaj. Then we know the past times. Prahlad Maharaj comes, and then one time he's sitting on the lap of Hiranyakashipu, and then he asks, "What did you learn from your teachers?" At the time he says, people who are attached to body, right? They cannot go anywhere. One should give up attachment to the body. One should go to the holy place and perform tapasya. One should worship Vishnu. He gets upset, but he doesn't want to show the anger. Right? He thought maybe something is wrong. Maybe he called the, Sanda and Amarka. Maybe this Vishnu Bhaktas, they are like Vishnu. They're very mischievous. How Vishnu comes in different garbs, like that Vishnu Bhaktas also can take different forms and garbs. Maybe some devotees of Vishnu had come into your school and they spoiled my child. They spoiled my child. So make sure that there is no infiltration in the school and train him properly. And then when Prahlad Maharaj goes back to the school, at that time, they ask Sanda and Amarka, we have not taught you all these things. Where have you learned all these things? And at that time, Prahlad Maharaj says how iron naturally get attracted towards a magnet. Like that, I naturally get attracted to the lotus feet of Lord. I naturally get attracted to the teachings of Krishna, Bhakti. And I received these teachings from my spiritual master when I was in the mother's womb. Then he recalls the whole pastime, how, the demigods came to kill Kayadu, and then Narada Muni, protected Kayadu, took her to his own ashram. And then, Narada Muni gives Srimad Bhagavatam to Kayadu. And then also to Prahlad in the womb. Prahlad Maharaj remembers, listens to all the teachings of Narada Muni from his spiritual master, Srimad Bhagavatam. His mother also remembered, but later she forgets. Whereas Prahlad Maharaj, he is a pure devotee, he doesn't forget. That's how I know. I get natural attraction towards the Lord, and that's why I teach, and you also should do. Like that, he tries to, convert his demoniac teachers, Chanda and Amarka. And then they think, if you talk to this guy, he'll also become devotees. They immediately take a stick and chastise him. Then again, Prahlad Maharaj comes again to Hiranyakashipu, he offers full dandavats. And then this time he asks, what did you learn? What is the best you have learned? Then he says, famous verse. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. This famous verse, right? Then Hiranyakashipu gets very offended. Then he said, this spy needs to be killed. This spy needs to be immediately killed. He immediately orders his, servants to kill. Then we know the pastimes, how Prahlad Maharaj was tried to be killed, right? By the servants, by putting them under the mad elephant, and then with poisonous snakes, throwing from the top of the hill, by feeding poisonous food. All these things could not kill Prahlad Maharaj. Why? Devotees are always protected by the Lord. This is another lesson. This is another lesson. His devotees are always protected by the Lord. And in spite of all these things, Prahlad Maharaj was confident that he will not die. Why? Because he was always protected by the Lord. And he is not killed. Then again he was sent to the school. Right? He goes back to the school again. And this time he starts teaching. He starts doing satsang program in the school. And then he starts doing chanting Hare Krishna. And then he starts giving discourses. He starts converting all his demoniac friends. This looks like a college program. Prabhuji and our Sarnagaur Haripu, they go to college and preach. Right? It's like a youth program. Right? Sometimes they go on pant shirt, right? Undercover. Right? Like that. So then again, this time they get the teachers, they said this time we are not going to be, allowed by Hiranyakashipu. He's not going to forgive us. He's going to kill us. So it's better we voluntarily go and tell Hiranyakashipu that this guy cannot be taught with diplomacy and politics and all of them. Whatever you want us to teach, this guy is not teachable. In fact, if we stay with this guy, he will convert us. Right? In this regard, there's one famous pastime, Prabhupada's disciple, Giriraj Maharaj. Giriraj Maharaj was the son of a very wealthy person. He was a judge, very wealthy person. And then Giriraj Maharaj parents were very much attached to Giriraj Maharaj. Then his father wanted his son to come back with him. So they take Giriraj Maharaj to some psychologist. They're called deprogrammers. And then this psychologist starts asking questions. What happened to you? Why did you leave your parents? Did something in the childhood happen? Did your parents not treat you properly? All this kind of things he started asking. And then Giriraj Maharaj started giving Krishna is the father, Krishna is the mother. And then he started teaching Bhagavad Gita. And then after that, that deprogrammer came running to, Giriraj Maharaj's father. If I talk to your son for another half an hour, I will become a Hare Krishna. I will become Hare Krishna. This is the nature of devotees. Devotees, right? Their nature, Prabhupada says now, to establish Krishna consciousness, in order for Krishna consciousness to flourish, right? Right? Three things are required. Maturity in Krishna consciousness manifests in these three ways. First, one should establish connection to Krishna. One should establish himself, his connection to Krishna. Second, one should experience the shelter of Krishna, protection of the Lord. Third, one should express this feeling of shelter to others so that the others can take shelter of Krishna. So in order to preach, one should be ourselves, we should be connected to Krishna. One should actually feel the protection by Krishna. Then we can express this shelter to others so that others can also take up shelter of Krishna. So like that, Prahlad Maharaj was doing wonderful preaching program in the Sanda Amarka school. And then Sanda Amarka will go back to Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu, they sell this boy is not changeable at all. In fact, if you stay with him, we will change. Prabhupada said, the Giriraj Maharaj's father offered $1 million. I will give you $1 million if you leave Hare Krishna and come back to our home. Giriraj Maharaj did not budge. And Prabhupada was so proud. See, even $1 million somebody offers to my disciple, they don't want to leave me. This is the nature of attraction to Krishna. When somebody experiences Krishna in their heart, when somebody feels protected by Krishna, such a person can influence others, because they were all Prabhupada's disciples, they were all attracted to Prabhupada so much, right? They don't want to leave the shelter of Prabhupada at any cost. So that we can understand. So now Prahalad comes back to his father, and then his father becomes so upset, right? Let's skip all these things, all the teachings you can read from this chapter. So now comes this most awaited pastime. When for us, right, usually in Narasimha Chaturdashi, right, we are all very, very happy because Lord is appearing, we have Kirtan, Katha, all of them. But more than the devotees are eagerly waiting for Narasimha's appearance. Who is eagerly waiting? Huh? No, all the demigods. Because for demigods, it is not just another festival. It is the Independence Day for them. Right? The devotees are all, celebrating many festivals. Many appearance day comes. Right? We are all eagerly waiting for every one of the festival, but the demigods are more enthusiastic for Narasimha Chaturdashi because that is their Independence Day. So hence, they are all eagerly waiting when the Lord is going to appear, when the Lord is going to appear. When Prahalad Maharaj comes back to his father, and then the teachers give up, and then he gets so upset. From where are you getting all this strength to speak like this? I am teaching, I am telling to obey me, and you are disobeying me. Where are you getting this strength? And then Prahalad Maharaj says, I get the strength from the same source from where you also get your strength. Balam Balavata Chagam. Krishna says, I am the strength among the strong. So I am getting the strength from the same source where you are getting the strength. And then this time Hiranyakashipu becomes so angry, right? And then he says, you say your Lord is everywhere. Is he there in the pillar? And then Prahalad Maharaj says, he is there in the pillar, not only in the pillar, he is there everywhere. He is there in your heart. He is in my heart. He is in everyone's heart. Also, he is there in this pillar as well. And that is the context in which this particular verse comes. Right? This verse. Satyam Vidatum Najabritya Bhashitam. Right? The Lord appearing from the pillar is to make his devotees' words true. Because Prahalad Maharaj mentioned that the Lord is there everywhere, including this pillar. He didn't want that word to become untrue. Also, he didn't want Brahmaji's word of giving the boon. Why Lord appears in this particular, Adbhuta form, half lion and half man? Because he doesn't want Brahmaji's words to become untrue. Right? So for that, to keep those words, the Lord appears. So that is what described here. Satyam Vidatum Najabritya Bhashitam Vyaptam Cha Bhuteshu Akileshu Chatmanaha Adrishti Yada Atmuta Rupam Udvakam Stambe Sabayam Na Mrigam Na Manusham. Right? To prove the statement of his servant. Right? Prahalad Maharaj, that Supreme Personality of Godhead is present everywhere. Lord Hari exhibited a wonderful form, never seen before. Right? This form is never seen before. How come this form is never seen before? No, Narasimha always eternally exist in the spiritual sky, in the Vaikuntha planet, right? How come this form is not seen before? This form, in this anger form, this Ugra Narasimha form did not exist. Right? One, the Lord exists in the spiritual world as Narasimha is Shanta Narasimha, Lakshmi Narasimha. Very, very calm and peaceful. Right? But this form of the Lord, Ugra Narasimha, right? Nobody had seen this before, including Goddess Lakshmi. And the Lord comes out of the pillar, right? In amazement, Hiranyakashipu is wondered, what is this creature that is half man, half lion? And then Hiranyakashipu studied the form of the Lord, and then he starts fighting, right? Lord, when he starts fighting, he just wants some more, pastime. The pastime is like how when a cat wanted to catch a mouse. It knows that it can catch any time, but still it want to play with the mouse for some time. Like that, Lord wanted to play with the Hiranyakashipu for some time. And then at that time when he is playing with the Hiranyakashipu, right? And then all the demigods becomes impatient. In fact, when the Lord and demigods, the Lord and Hiranyakashipu is fighting, right? When the Lord gives a hit to Hiranyakashipu, all the demigods become happy. They start clapping. But at that time when the clapping sound comes, right, Hiranyakashipu looks at the sky. And immediately all the demigods run behind the cloud. Because in case in this fight, Hiranyakashipu wins, what will happen to us? Because he is keeping note of who and all clapping. Right? When this fight is happening, all the devatas, they are all like, like enthusiastically clapping, making sound. Right? At that time, they are also worried. When Hiranyakashipu looks at them, they all run behind the cloud. But they have the doubt, even though the Lord appears in the form of half lion, half man, they are actually did not have complete faith that Lord will kill Hiranyakashipu. They did not have still complete faith. But after playing for some time, right, Lord eventually kills Hiranyakashipu. After Hiranyakashipu is killed, still Lord with anger, nobody could approach. All the demigods offer prayers, still Lord is not pacified. Then, they approach, Lakshmi Devi, goddess Lakshmi. And then she said, no, I have not seen this form of the Lord in this anger mood. Even I don't know. I'm not sure what will happen if I go next to the Lord. Even she didn't want to go. Then they ask Brahmaji. Brahmaji says, I can't go. And then they look at Prahlad. Hey, because of your father only all these things happened. You better you go. And Prahlad was not afraid at all. He goes and offers full dandavats to Narasimha Dev. And Narasimha Dev was very pleased. Right? He touches him, blesses him. And then Prahlad Maharaj offers these glorifying prayers. The prayers of Prahlad Maharaj are there. Very, very glorious prayers. Those prayers, all the devotees memorize. Even greatest devotees memorize the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. It was born in a demoniac family. He's the greatest of the devotee. So prayers offered by Brahma, all the demigods. Afterwards, Prahlad Maharaj offers the prayers. And then the Lord is pleased with the prayers. And then Lord asks the boon, benediction. What do you want, my Prahlad? Then Prahlad Maharaj says, Lord, don't make the affairs, the relationship between you, between you and me as a business transaction. I did not offer all these prayers to get boon from you. Please don't. I don't want any boons. But Lord is still pleased. He says, you will rule for how long? One day of Brahma, right? One Manvantara. I think one Manvantara. Long time. You will rule. And then like that he gives the boon, and then he said, no, I don't want this boon. All these boons are actually materialistic boon. This is putting me as a king. Right? It's very dangerous. I'm already born in a demonic family. I have naturally inclination towards materialistic enjoyment, sense gratification. This boon, what you are giving, is not favorable to me. I don't want all these boons. If you want to give any boons, please forgive my father. At the time, Lord Narasimha Dev says, Prahlada, don't worry. I had already delivered your father. Not only your father, 21 generations before, 21 generations after, they are all delivered. So like that. So on this auspicious day of Lord Narasimha, our hearts are like Shalatanka, means hard-hearted. And we pray to Narasimha using his nail, right? How he ripped open Hiranyakashipu and did an open heart surgery, right? First recorded history in the history, right? First open hearted surgery without anesthesia, right? Operation successful, patient liberated, right? So like that, we should also pray to the Lord. Please remove all the unwanted things, anarthas from my heart, Narasimha. So this Narasimha prayer did not come in ISKCON even from the beginning. I think 2 years after ISKCON was established in 1968, I believe, 67 or 68. In Los Angeles, Prabhupada was there, and there was a Ratha Yatra in San Francisco. All the devotees used to go to Ratha Yatra, huge festival. But Prabhupada stayed back with some few devotees in LA temple. At that time, somebody created a crude bomb and threw in the temple, threw inside the temple and left. Jagannath Pradesh Subhadra Mai ki jai, Shri Lakshmana Singh Bhagwan ki jai, Karunitai Bhagavan ki jai. Right, threw the bomb. But that bomb did not go off. Luckily, devotees were not hurt. And then at that time, Prabhupada said, I will teach you a new prayer. What is that new prayer? This Narasimha Pranama. Right? This prayer consists of two parts. One is coming from Narasimha Purana, the first two verses, two slokas, and the last part comes from Dashavatara Stotra. Right? This prayer Prabhupada taught. Also, Prabhupada said that because our movement is expanding, we are growing, the demoniac forces also will increase and stop us, will cause so much of disturbance. Hence, the devotee should chant these prayers every day. At the time, only 2 or 3 temples only was there. Prabhupada had the vision. Our movement is going to grow all over the world. Demoniac forces will come to cause impediment in our service to the Lord. So devotees should always take shelter of Narasimha to get protection from the unfavorable circumstances. The unfavorable circumstances are not only external, also internal from our heart. In our heart, we all have this material desires, the anarthas. All those anarthas, as long as is present, Nishta does not happen. Until anartha and everything happens, Nishta does not happen. On this auspicious day, we pray to Lord Narasimha to remove all the impediments in the path of our devotional service to Shri Radha and Krishna. That is the prayer we would like to offer. Thank you very much. I went a little too long, and the slides are very long slides. I skipped to some of the slides, but this is, I think, maybe 2 or 3 hours presentation. Even then, also we can't completely cover. I try to emphasize. These are the 7 lessons, right? We can learn from this pastimes, right? So one is for life's questions, right? We always need a bona fide spiritual master to answer. Then only we can come out of the perplexities of the life. Second, demoniac tendency means it causes pains to others, pleasure to themselves. And then uncontrolled senses results only in dissatisfaction. Even though Hiranyakashipu had all the demigods working for him, everything was perfectly arranged for him, still he was dissatisfied. Still he used to get intoxicated. Still he was not happy. Right? So that one. And then fourth is devotees are always protected by the Lord. Fifth, material education means it will make one as a controller and enjoyer. Material education pushes one towards become a controller and enjoyer, whereas a spiritual education trains one to become an expert servant. That is the 6th point. And then 7th point, false ego makes one gets addicted to be in total control. False ego makes one to be always in total control. Even little bit of change from the situation makes them intolerable. Hiranyakashipu, he was controlling the entire universe, including the 33 crore demigods. He was controlling the weather through his movement of an eyebrow. But this little Prahlad, he could not control. Prahlad was such a small boy. Because when somebody, right, his false ego is so puffed up, they can't tolerate even a small mistakes. He can't even tolerate small Prahlada. That's why he tries to kill. That false ego eventually killed himself. Of course, he got killed by the Lord, he got liberated. But we should actually make sure that our false ego does not come in between us and Krishna. Right? One time I asked my spiritual master, now I had all these problems. And then I went met Maharaj, and one devotee said, no, you should go and tell Maharaj, you should inform what's going on in your life. Because later Maharaj comes to know, you'll be upset. Then I went and told all my sob story. Maharaj patiently listened. And then he said in the end, Madhava Chandra, I will keep it very simple. Everything is perfectly arranged by Krishna. The kind of spouse you have, the kind of children you have, the kind of manager you have, the kind of temple president you have, the kind of GBC you have, the kind of neighbors you have, the kind of association of devotees you all have. Everything is arranged personally by Krishna to make you Krishna conscious. The only thing which comes between you and Krishna is your false ego. So hence, on this auspicious day, we pray to Lakshmi Narasimha and Prahlad Maharaj that we can set aside our false ego, we can revive our real ego. Our real ego is that we are all eternally part and parcel of Krishna. Our constitutional position is to serve. So on this, we will offer these prayers to Lakshmi Narasimha so that we can give up our false ego. Right? The best way to give up false ego is serving in association. Right? When we serve in association, the devotees will help us to overcome these difficulties. So I pray at the lotus feet of all the devotees, please give your blessings and prayers so that I can also progress in my devotional service by giving up the false ego, by giving up the materialistic tendencies, and then we all become useful instrument in the hand of Sri Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Yeah, and this question was asked, I think His Holiness Bhaktichar Maharaj answered in one of the lectures that earlier Prahlad Maharaj was a son of a Brahmana. And of course, some devotees don't accept it, this version of the story. How come Prahlad Maharaj is a great devotee? How come, he was, in the previous life, he was a Brahmana and he was not following the regulative principles. He got attracted to a prostitute. And then one time, he and the prostitute, the Brahmana boy and prostitute went to forest for a picnic. And that forest place happened to be, ancient temple of Narasimha. And then he cleaned the place to have the picnic. And then during that time, he has difference in opinion with his girlfriend, prostitute. And they start fighting. And then they stop talking each other. And then they don't eat. All night, they don't talk to each other. And they fast. Because all night, he fasted in the Narasimha temple, that which happened to be Narasimha Chaturdashi. And he cleansed the place of Narasimha. And then because of that, next life, he became Prahlad. So that story is quoted by His Holiness Bhaktichar Maharaj. This, he said, it comes from Harivamsha. No, Hari Bhakti Vilasa, I think. Hari Bhakti Vilasa, this story is quoted, I think. So I'm not sure. I don't know how to answer this question. I just repeated what I heard. How to take it, it's up to you. Prahlad Maharaj is eternal devotee of Krishna, eternal devotee of Narasimha. He's eternally existing. in the spiritual sky. Maybe for pastime this all happened, or maybe in different, Kalpa Beda might be there in different, yugas when Narasimha appears. Sometimes maybe the original Prahlada may not come. I don't know. Yes, definitely. Hope is always there, always there. Devotees, they never lose hope. That is one of the statement Prabhupada says. Right? That devotees, they never give up the hope, no matter what the situation is. Prahlad Maharaj, he never gives up the hope, whatever the situation might be. Right? Devotee should always have faith. Now Prabhupada says. And right? There are many things I wanted to share, but I couldn't share. I forgot what I wanted to share. Anyway, the question is, I think the answer is that I think the previous life he was a son of a Brahmana, and then he did unknowingly devotional service to the Lord, and because of that he became a pure devotee. But some devotees don't accept this version of the story, so I don't know how to take it. So, okay. Any other comments, questions? If not, I think we'll conclude here. I think we ran for time. I think almost 40 minutes more. I think that is the understanding. I think this pastime happens every kalpa, all the pastimes of the Lord. This particular pastime, what is described in Bhagavatam, happened, I think, during the 6th Manvantara, I believe. I think the 6th Manvantara in a particular kalpa, almost in the Sandhi of Satyuga and Tretuga, this particular pastime happened. This is what is described in this version of the pastime described in Bhagavatam, what we are reading. This happened, I think, during 6th Manvantara, I think. Lakshmi Devi consoled. Yeah, it is possible, because different day of Brahma, different yugas, pastimes keep on happening eternally, So the details might be different. Whenever in some Puranas, some descriptions are given. Whenever there is a difference, Jiva Goswami explains. Whenever there is a little difference in the scriptures, that should be understood, because it could happen because of Kalpa Beda. It could have happened in a different pastime. We can see sometimes, Lord Brahma is Varagadev is coming from the nose of Brahma. Sometimes he is coming from the body of Brahma, like that, no? That Varagadev appearance described in Bhagavatam 2 different places with 2 different ways. That is because of Kalpa Beda. That's what Jiva Goswami explains. Yes, it can happen. All these pastimes are happening eternally. As we speak, Narasimha Chaturdashi is happening somewhere. Somewhere demigods are in some universe, they are celebrating Independence Day. Yes, of course. Verity is the mother of enjoyment. The Lord, enacts these pastimes in different ways. There might be subtle differences, but the essence will be the same. The Lord appears for Paritranaya Shadhanam, Vinashaya Shadishkritam, Dharma Samsapanartaya, Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. For the last 2 reasons, to establishing Dharma and to annihilate the miscreants, Lord doesn't have to come himself. His agency is sufficient. But to deliver the devotees, to give pleasure to the devotees, Lord personally appears. Hare Krishna. Any other comments? If not, we'll come to a conclusion. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Shri Lakshmi Narasimha ki, Narasimha Chaturdashi ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Nitai Gaur Premanand.
Hare Krishna. Let us express our gratitude to HG Madhava Chandra Prabhu for narrating the entire pastime of Lord Narasimha Leela in the short time with so many lessons, and bringing it to the point that how we should pray to Lord Narasimha to remove the false ego and not for anything else. So let us express our gratitude to His Grace Madhava Chandra by chanting Hare Krishna mantra once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Still, although Proji said it is the whole pastime is so lengthy, we could not cover the prayers and the teaching. Still, the time is there. Still, it is just 10:45 till 6:45. Another 8 hours are there for breaking the fast. So when we are absorbed in something, then mind may not think of the prasad. Either devotees can absorb themselves in the service or in the reading and discussing from the Bhagavatam. So the evening schedule, the 4 o'clock onwards, the Narasimha Homa will happen, and followed by 5:15 onwards, the Abhishekam. It will happen in the just outside courtyard, and then by 6:45 there will be the Maha Aarti and followed by the Maha Prasadam. So devotees can there'll be many services also in the duration of the whole day. In the afternoon around 12:30 onwards there will be kitchen services. If devotees would like to join in the kitchen services, they can join. And now the decoration will happen. Ashok Gorpa will be leading the decoration. So if anybody is free and would like to take part in the decoration, they can assist Ashok Gorpu. And also at the end, there will be the wind up service also. If any devotee is possible to assist in the winding up service just after the prasadam, devotees can assist in that also, and prasadam serving. And now there is a drama which has been put up by our here or there. Now the drama is there by our kids team in the first floor, as well as there is Bharatanatyam performed by one of the devotees. So devotees are requested to kindly proceed to the first floor, where we can watch the. Okay, there is slight change. So we'll watch the Bharatanatyam on the pastime of Lord Narasimha Dev here only in the first floor, because they are making arrangement for the drama. And after that, we'll proceed for the drama. Hare Krishna. We request devotees to kindly please move behind so that we can make space.
Hare Krishna. So this Bharatanatyam will be performed by Mr. Arun Prakash. He is a assistant professor in Jain University, and he is also learning Bharatanatyam. Last few Ekadashis, he performed beautiful pastimes of Lord Ram and Lord Krishna. So today he wanted to perform for the pleasure of Shri Narasimhadev Prahlada Charitram. It's just 3.5 minutes, so please watch attentively. He's going to perform 5 characters. So you can try to identify the 5 characters when he is performing this dance. So we have to clear the space. Chatai also have to be cleared. He will go that side. Started cutting. No, this is live is being that is you can keep it. So which means in performing looking at the Lord, to the place of the Lord, you not able to see. You will come here. Facing, if you set it like this, facing mother is sitting like this, Lord is there like this, and you have to move little behind. He will perform like that. Yeah. Okay. So next we have a wonderful drama performed by the kids of our community. So request all of you please to go upstairs from here to watch the drama by your assembly.
Thank you.